Alright, in the previous video we talked about how to create an M97 subroutine program that can basically only be used on a Haas machine. So anytime you're not working on a Haas, most likely like a FANUC or a FANUC style control, we're going to have to use an M98, which is going to look for a subprogram outside of the main program. So this would be considered the main program. On a Haas, the M97 looks for that subroutine internal to that program. On a FANUC style, we're going to use an M98, which is used for an external program in the control. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the top of the program that has all the subroutine calls, which we're going to change into subprogram calls. So I'm just going to highlight them all until I get all the way to the M30. Okay, so at the M30, I'm going to copy, Control C, and I got a blank program here on the right, and paste it right there. Okay, so the way this is going to work is program number 1 is going to be the main program number, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the main program number, but you can call that whatever you want. The subprogram numbers are going to have to be different, obviously, but it would be good to have a list of program numbers in the top of the program, and we're going to be using 4 tools, so therefore we're going to need to create 4 subprogram numbers. So in this case, we're going to assign subprograms, and I'm going to start another message right here. 1001, 1002, 1003, and 1004. Okay, and usually you do it in the order of the operations. So we're going to be face milling, then center drilling, drilling, and tapping. So what you can do is, just so it's clear, we'll put a 1001 next to the tool we're going to be using that subprogram for. Okay, hope that makes sense. 1003 and then 1004. Alright, so these are all valuable messages for you later on down the line, or obviously your operator, so he knows what programs work together to do this process. Alright, so I'm going to get rid of this program here on the left so we can easily see this, and I'm going to take advantage of the format that we created in the previous video where we assigned the subroutines, and we're just going to swap out some numbers. So instead of the N2000 sequence number that we're looking for now, we're going to be calling up a subprogram using an M98, and the first subprogram is going to be a 1001. Okay, for the facing operation. So I'm going to copy that onto each line here for the facing operation. Okay, so I'm basically done with that. So the very next one, center drilling, I'm going to go ahead and paste it again and just change that to a 2. Copy that, Control V, Control V, Control V. Do it again over here, Control V, that's going to be program number 1003. Copy that, Control V, Control V, Control V. Alright, do it one more time over here, Control V, this is going to be subprogram 1004. Copy that, Control V, Control V, Control V. So this is how fast we have created an M98 subprogram call. Now, of course, we had the advantage of having the format already done using the M97 subroutine call, but the copy and pasting really makes editing quick. Alright, so this is the main program, and then below the M30, let's make sure that we have a % sign. We have one at the top. Alright, so we basically have our main program in place. So now we need to create 4 different programs, 1001, 1002, 1003, and 1004, which were basically the subroutines in the M97 subroutine program. Now those are going to be standalone subprograms, one for each operation. So now we're going to create the subprograms, and we're going to use the program that we created for the Haas with the M97 subroutines, and we're going to extract these subroutines one at a time. So I'm going to take the face milling operation right here, Control C, and do a Control V or paste. Alright, so now we need to identify that this is the subprogram for this part right here. So I'm going to take the top portion of this program, including the tool description, Control C, and paste. Alright, so first of all, we're going to change this to subprogram 1001, and then we'll identify it, sub 4, part number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we'll make a note, main program 0001. Then we still have some information about where the origin is located, that this is a 4-part process, and that we're going to be using G54 through G57. We're going to be using tool number 20 for this particular sub-program. We're going to face, and then when it's done facing, it's going to jump up to Z 1 inch, do an M99, and the M99 will go back to the main program and continue with the next subprogram call, which will be for the G55 position. So the main will call this particular program 4 times, doing the G54, G55, G56, and G57 before it goes to the next tool and calls up program 1002 for the next tool. So this is the format of the program that we're going to save and load into the control along with the main program, because if the subprogram is not loaded into the control and the main program calls for it, it will alarm out and say subprogram is not found. So this is the format we're going to use on all 4 subprograms. So we're going to copy and paste quite a bit. So let's move on to the next one. Alright, so first of all, we want to make sure that we save the subprogram after we create it so we don't lose that information. So do a save as, find a folder or create a folder where you want to save these programs. So I'm going to create a folder, call it subprogs, hit enter, and I'm going to call it 1001. Save. Alright, so here again we have the format already ready for the next program. So all I need to do here is change this to a 2. The rest of the information is good, other than we're going to copy and paste the next tool we're going to be using, which is the Senadrill. Okay, then we scroll down into our sample program here, and we're going to get the subroutine copied right here, Control C, and we're going to overwrite the face milling operation. So program 1002 sub for program 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, our main program, 4 parts, tool number 5, number 6 Senadrill, and we're done. So we do a save as. We're still in the same folder. We're going to change that to 1002, hit save. Then we do 3. Okay, go back to the top of the program. Tool number 6 is the tool we're going to copy over. Then we look for tool number 6, subroutine. I'm going to copy all that. Override our Senadrill. And we're going to do a file save as 1003. Save. And then we'll do it one more time. 4. This time we're going to use the tab. Control C. Control V. We find the subroutine. M99. Control C. Control V. Save as 1004. And we have basically created our subprograms. So I hope all that makes sense. Of course, this was real simple because we had already created all these subroutines in our M97 program. But once you have the code for one program, it is just this simple to copy and paste and create either subroutines or subprograms. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to leave a copy of all of these programs as an attachment so that you can look them over and use them as a template. Thanks for watching.